What's going on, everybody? It's Aurora YGO coming at you with a brand new video. So, finally, I was playing some Minecraft, and suddenly I get a notification on Twitter showing that we finally got the second wave of Traptrix support from the structure deck, which is technically the last wave as well. I know they're probably going to do a similar thing to what they've been doing with the last few structure decks, where they just reveal a random last card out of nowhere right before it drops. So it's probably something we're going to see, especially a trap card most likely, because guys, I saw what these at least were, not what they do. We're getting spell cards. As it says, hey, actual spell cards for Traptrix. We are literally getting spell cards now. And it's just so interesting because Traptrix has always been a deck that's like similar to Altergeist in that it's pure traps and then it's got the monsters that do things with the traps, right? But being able to give them spell cards on top of that could be the thing that Traptrix needs to push itself from a mediocre trap deck to an actual decent control deck. Or honestly, depending on how the support goes, we are getting 3 cards, by the way. A new main deck monster, which is something that I think they definitely need, especially an extender. A normal spell, and a field spell. But I've been testing Traptrix as a mid-range strategy with some of the more mid-range cards like the B-Gram or whatever, and the little level 1 fairy tuner thing, or is it level 1? No, it's level 3, sorry. The little level 3, like, plant fairy tuner thing to go into, like, synchros and, like, more link plays and everything. And I think it has some serious potential, but this could be enough to actually make it worthwhile. Sorry if I sound very rambly, by the way. I kind of came up with all this dialogue before I even actually recorded this video, because it took, like, an hour from the reveal to actually get this translated on Organization specifically. And I kind of had this all planned out already, and I just kind of forgot most of the stuff that I was doing. But yeah, so we're getting 3 different cards here as opposed to the 4 that we got in the last video. Speaking of which, if you have not looked at the last support video, we got 4 different cards there. We got a new main deck monster, an Xyz, a Link, and a new trap card. You definitely need to go check it out before you watch this video, or at least go see what those cards do, because I'm going to be probably using them in reference for this video, so just keep that in mind. But I'm not going to waste any more of y'all's time. Let's go ahead and get right into this. So it's the Traptrix Initiative. So starting off with the new main deck monster, we have Traptrix Pudica, which looks a lot like Nepenthes. It's definitely based on another type of pitcher plant. It is a level 4 earth plant, good thing because they got an insect as the other main deck monster. 900 attack, 900 defense following the stat rule. It says you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. When this card is normal summoned, you can add a Traptrix Orchard from your deck to your hand. So that is the field spell. I did accidentally get it spoiled a little bit for me. It was called Traptrix Garden on Twitter, and this was Putica, not Pudica. So I don't know how these translations are going to go. But basically, on summon, you get to add the field spell, which, depending on the field spell, could make this a very important card. And if this card is special summoned, you can target one opponent's special summon monster, banish it, and if you do, during the next standby phase, your opponent can special summon one of their banished monsters. Also, it's unaffected by trap holes. So this is interesting. So ignoring the normal summon, add the field spell thing, depending on how the field spell is. The special summon effect is a bit strange because, keep in mind, targeting an opponent's special summon monster and banishing it is really good. That's, like, amazing. But during the next standby phase, it's not just getting them the monster back. They can summon any of their banished monsters, which could be really, really bad, given the fact that Bottomless Trap Hole, the new Trap Hole, Delusion Trap Hole, and then other things are going to be banishing other monsters, so you could be using those to get rid of a problematic monster, using this to get rid of a small monster, and then suddenly they got their problematic monster back because it gives them any of their banished monsters. So I don't really know how to feel about that. I wish it would have just said banish an opponent's special summon monster. It's already a targeting banish anyway, so it wouldn't even be that crazy. So I don't really know. I would have preferred if it didn't give them literally any banished monster back, but we'll just have to see how good the field spell is to warrant how many copies of this we run. So next up we have the field spell Traptrix Orchard, or Traptrix Garden, depending on where you saw it. This is, of course, the field spell. It says you can only use the 3rd effect of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, you can normal summon a Traptrix monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. Honestly, I actually kind of expected this. Like, everything just keeps wanting to give this deck more normal summons. The first time each of your insect and plant monsters would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. And you can banish one monster you control, special summon one Traptrix monster from your hand or graveyard. So this is fine. I mean, obviously the extra normal summon was kind of a given. It's something that literally everyone expected on a field spell for Traptrix, and that is pretty cool, but it does rely on you opening multiple normal summons, and if you draw multiple normal summons, you're probably in not a great spot because you didn't draw enough of your trap disruptions. Granted, it will make it a little bit easier to get you access to your Xyz monsters or any link plays, but much like with the mid-range support that I was testing, like with the synchro and everything, and with the little fairy chick, getting multiple normal summons in your hand kind of just means you're not in that great of a spot in the first place. The protection is also fine. Like, I wish it did card effect as well, or even instead. The battle thing isn't really going to be that much of a problem. I mean, okay. So it does fix the issue that I mentioned over on Twitter, which you should totally go follow for news, channel updates, shitposts, and more. I will be discussing this support. I discussed the last support, and I'll probably be discussing the last card that gets revealed. I will not be making a video on it over there on Twitter, so go ahead and check that out if you haven't. But it does solve the issue I mentioned on Twitter, in which, you know, a lot of Traptrix end boards can be easily beaten by just summoning a monster, punching over Sarah, and then just going to main phase 2. So it does help from that, but then if your opponent has any like back row popping or any sort of monster effect popping, then it's gonna be a really bad issue for you. I do like the third effect to banish a monster you control and then specialing a Traptrix monster from hand or grave. I like being able to revive them from grave and then choose the one that I do so whenever I feel like, rather than during the end phase with Killaria or whatever, or with Alameris, which requires a massive investment. So I do like that because it can help with things like Dionea, but overall I feel like this is more of like a one-of than anything. Because, like, you can play the Pudica as, like, a 1-of or something, or whatever, or maybe a 2-of, and then get this searched really easily off of it, so yeah, I don't really feel like this card is too crazy. It could have done a lot more. But finally, we have Traptrix Allure, which was called Alluring Invitation instead of a Traptrix name over on Twitter, so I don't know which one is correct. But this is a normal spell that says you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. Discard one level 4 insect or plant monster or a normal trap and draw 2 cards. And you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of your banished level 4 insect or plant monsters or one of your banished normal traps and place it on the bottom of the deck. Okay, so I don't think we needed a Destiny draw when, like, Prosperity is just kind of better. Like, if I want to draw 2 cards, I would rather not have to discard, one of my monsters or a trap to do so. I'll just play Extra, or if I want to get something specific, I'll just play Prosperity like we already are playing. And then, when are your plants and insects getting banished? And your normal traps are really only getting banished when you're using Dionea. Okay, I'm sorry. Vesiculo banishes herself to reset your stuff. But like, considering it just places it on the bottom of the deck and doesn't even like draw you a card or anything, like, I don't really feel like you should be running this card. Like, just use Extrav. And like, it's not like you can play both because Extrav or Prosperity lock you out of drawing cards for with other effects. So yeah, honestly, that's really disappointing. So with that being said, what do I think of this support? Honestly, this is really underwhelming considering like how good the last support was. Pudica seems fine on the surface, but it can end up being really problematic for you given that, like, again, you have Bottomless that's going to be banishing your opponent's stuff, you have Delusion that's going to be banishing your opponent's stuff, your opponent's probably going to be benefiting more from their special summon than you are by banishing the monster, period. Oh yeah, not to mention, we also have, like, Ice Dragon's Prison as well. And then adding the field spell is, like, fine, because, like, if you open this and another monster, you know, it's pretty good. But, like, the field spell itself is just kinda eh. Because, again, you have to have either 2 normal summons and this card in hand, or you have to have Pudica and another normal summon in hand to get full value out of it. And if that's the, like, case, you're probably already losing by not seeing enough disruptions. Like, I do appreciate that it gets you more things, like more value out of like your Dionea, your Mammalio, your Mantis, whatever, and it can probably net you an extra Xyz without having to play like Shade Brigandine or something. But again, it's not something I consider like a 3-of with Terraforming or something. It's just like a 1-of or maybe 2-of just to search it off of this little like random ass bitch. And then this card is just, this is a disappointment. Like, why would I play this over Prosperity or Extrav? Like, I get it, Extrav has a gamble factor for your Sarahs, and Prosperity is gonna thin your, like, toolbox out a little bit. but I'd rather lose my extra deck toolbox, or at least a few pieces of it, and get whatever I feel like, than gambling and discarding my cards that I would like to have in hand, especially the trap cards, to draw 2 random cards that I don't know what I'm getting. And then the recycling is just kind of pathetic. Like, maybe if it special summoned the monster or set to the back row, if that was the case, then yeah, it wouldn't be as bad, but just placing it on the bottom and giving you no other value than that is very mediocre. So yeah, what ratios am I probably going to be considering? 1 or 2 Putica, maybe 1 Orchard, and then probably no Traptrix Allures. I am so disappointed with this, guys. Like, you have no idea how excited I've been waiting over this last hour for these cards to come out, especially, like, spell cards finally for this trap deck. I was praying that these would be really good and help the deck significantly, but they feel just kind of optional. Like, the deck was kind of fine beforehand. I've been seeing enough success with just the new 4 cards that came out that we reviewed in the last video. These just kind of felt like like the Advanced Crystal Beast coming out in Crystal Revenge or whatever. So yeah, overall, very underwhelming in my opinion. Let me know yours down in the comments below, because that is going to do it for the video. If you liked it, please be sure to leave a like, as well as put this video and the channel into YouTube recommended. And if you like this content, you want to see more like it, like the rest of my review series, including the last video that I had on the Traptrix structure deck support, then perhaps consider subscribing, because we're on our way to 2,500 subscribers by the end of 2022. But once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.